Okay, let's dive in. Think about those old historic places, buildings with stories literally baked into the walls.
Hmm.
But instead of just being museums, they get this second life. They become buzzing hubs for today's communities.
Exactly. It's that whole idea of adaptive reuse,
Yeah.
making the old relevant again.
Yeah.
And we've got a perfect example for our deep dive today, the train depot in Louisville, Kentucky.
Let's dig into this. You know when you're hunting for that perfect event venue,
Hmm.
maybe for something smaller, more intimate, like a micro wedding, and you want something with real character.
Yeah, something that feels special, not just another hall.
Exactly.
Mm.
Well, we've been doing a deep dive into a place in Louisville, Kentucky, the train depot. And based on the sources we looked at, it might just be that kind of unexpected gem.
That's right. We've gone through quite a bit articles about its mission, the renovation story, visitor reviews, which are always revealing, specifics on event rentals,
Right.
and even a piece defining what a micro wedding actually is, which is helpful context here.
Okay, so our mission for this deep dive is basically to connect the dots. Why is this specific historic spot, now all revitalized, becoming such a go-to for these smaller, more personal events, especially micro weddings?
What makes it tick for that niche?
Yeah, what's the magic formula there?
Well, what's really interesting, and it comes through consistently in the sources, is this very deliberate effort to keep the old charm. We're talking the original train depot, late 1800s history,
Wow. Okay.
but bringing it right up to date. Reviews mention the impressive transformation. People seem genuinely excited about it as a community spot now.
Oh.
It wasn't just a quick fix.
No, it sounds like it. One source actually used the phrase love, dollars, and persistence from the new owners. It wasn't just about renting out a building. The sources frame it more like a community hub, a place to connect.
And that community feel, that sense of place and history, it adds something, doesn't it? It's not just four walls. But let's talk practicals for events, because that's where it gets interesting for the smaller scale.
Okay.
The sources detail the indoor space. The historic building itself is around 1,000 square feet. Cozy, right? Intimate. But then you step outside, and you've got nearly an acre of flat fields, plus another 3 acres of woodlands. So a lot of outdoor space.
Wait, so about 4 acres total outside, plus the historic indoor part.
Pretty much. That's a huge amount of flexibility. Now, the venue can host up to 125 guests, according to the rental info.
Okay, 125. That doesn't immediately scream micro wedding venue, though, does it?
But that's the key point and where that micro wedding definition comes in. One source clarifies micro weddings are usually, 50 guests or fewer.
Right.
So imagine having all that space, the charming inside, the fields, the woods, for a group of, say, 30, 40, 50 people. That's where it becomes kind of perfect for an intimate event.
I get it. You're not crammed in. You have room to really design the experience.
Exactly. You can spread out,
Yeah.
drinks on a lawn,
Yeah.
dinner inside the historic depot. The sources explicitly mention they accommodate diverse event needs, large or small, and offer indoor-outdoor setups.
So for a micro wedding, you get the best of both worlds. The intimate historic vibe indoors, but then this expansive outdoor canvas to play with. You're not constrained like you might be in a smaller, purely indoor venue, even with a small guest list.
Spot on. That versatility seems to be its superpower for these smaller gatherings. The sources also give some practical details. There's a 4-hour minimum rental.
Okay, standard enough.
The rates vary, depends on
Yeah.
guest count. They have
Yeah.
tiers, like up to 50 or up to 125, and also the time of year or day of the week, presumably.
And one really important planning note.
Yes. No alcohol sales permitted on site. That's a key thing hosts need to know for planning.
Good to know. Okay, so let's recap what the sources paint a picture of. We've got a historic train depot, beautifully renovated, big community focus.
Check. About 1,000 square feet inside, but then almost 4 acres of varied outdoor space fields and woods.
Right, capacity technically up to 125.
But the real sweet spot, based on this combo of intimate indoor charm and expansive outdoor flexibility, seems to be for those smaller events, like micro weddings of 50 or fewer. You get character, options, and room to breathe.
It really does sound like a unique blend, especially if you're looking for something beyond, the typical ballroom.
Definitely. So the takeaway for you listening, if you're in the Louisville area and you're planning a smaller celebration, a party, maybe that micro wedding we keep mentioning,
Yeah.
the sources suggest the train depot is seriously worth considering. It offers that mix of history, modern amenities, and crucial flexibility that seems, tailor-made for a memorable personal event.
It really seems to hit a lot of the right notes. So here's something to maybe think about as we wrap up. When you're planning a big moment in your life, Does choosing a venue that has its own story of transformation, of community roots being revitalized, does that add an extra layer of meaning to your own special day?
Something to ponder. How the place itself becomes part of your story.